Why the Boots Theory is breaking down. One of my absolute favorite expressions when it comes to personal finance is the idea that I'm simply too broke to buy cheap things. You've probably heard the variation of this, which is buy it once or buy it twice. This is often called the Boots Theory of Socioeconomic Unfairness, the idea that a rich person can buy $100 boots that last 10 years, while a poor person spends $50 every year on cheap boots that fall apart. The core philosophy here is that if you don't invest a bit more upfront for quality, you're inevitably going to pay a much higher price in the long run through constant replacements and repairs. But lately, I have been struck by the realization that this classic advice might not even apply anymore. The paradigm has shifted in a way that feels almost predatory. I was looking at a garment recently. It was a high-priced investment piece, and long pause, it was 100% polyester. I was genuinely stunned. Wow. The Boots Theory assumes that if you pay the $100, you actually get the quality. But what happens when the $100 boots are made of the same cheap plastic as the $20 ones? I've noticed that many purchases we used to categorize as luxury or bougie just don't offer the value for the money that they once did. So today, I really want to dive into 10 expensive items that I believe are no longer worth your hard-earned cash because, if I'm being completely honest, they've become quite cheap in quality while the price tags continue to soar. Number 1. The thrifting crisis. From smart savings to viral economics. Thrifting and hunting for second-hand treasures used to be, without a doubt, the most intelligent way you could possibly allocate your budget. For a long time, it was the primary way that people living on a fixed or lower income could gain access to high-quality essentials. I remember years ago when you could genuinely walk into a place like Goodwill or Value Village with maybe $40 in your pocket and walk out with a completely refreshed wardrobe. You were finding white whales, items made of natural fibers like real silk, heavy cotton, pure wool, and genuine leather. The thrift store used to be the ultimate destination for quality, but it just doesn't feel like that's the reality we're living in anymore. I think a huge part of the problem is that the concept went viral. It feels like whenever a niche hobby or a budget hack goes viral on social media, the entire economic structure surrounding it begins to shift. Now, don't misunderstand me. I still believe that shopping at a thrift store or buying second-hand is significantly more affordable than purchasing something brand new. We are definitely going to discuss that later in this video. But the specific issue I have with modern thrift stores and online resale platforms is that the prices simply do not reflect the actual quality of the garment anymore. We are being hit with a double whammy. First, the prices have skyrocketed because of Depop-style resellers. Second, the actual inventory has degraded. Over the last several years, the baseline quality of our clothing has taken a nosedive, and that lower quality junk is exactly what is filling up the donation bins now. Thrift stores are being completely overwhelmed by discarded, crinkly, fast fashion that was only designed to be worn 3 times. Almost everything you find is made of plastic and feels incredibly cheap, yet it isn't being priced as if it's cheap. You're basically paying a premium to dig through a mountain of someone else's discarded Shane hauls. Number 2, market pressures and the shipping joke. The fact that second-hand shopping has turned into a massive business with high demand means that the prices are going to naturally rise to meet that demand. Even when you look at dedicated resale websites like Depop, Poshmark, or The RealReal, the prices are staying quite high. And if you're in Canada, please don't even get me started on the logistics. Why on earth does it cost $65 or more just to ship a single used product across the border? I feel like that $65 is the imaginary line tax, a price we pay just for the privilege of a cardboard box crossing a map. The truly sad part of this trend is that the people who actually need these affordable options the most are being priced out entirely. I'm not saying I'm going to stop shopping secondhand. That's not my point. I just feel like the process has become significantly more exhausting and expensive. It feels like a literal Olympic sport these days just to walk into a thrift store and find a single item that isn't made of synthetic fibers or priced like a boutique item. Number 3, the fast luxury trap, high prices for low quality. Now let's pivot to the opposite end of the financial spectrum, something else that I think is no longer worth the money, and that is the world of luxury goods. With prices absolutely exploding, it feels like the very definition of luxury has changed. For decades, luxury was a signal that you had made it. But back then, the quality actually justified the price. You were buying a heritage piece designed to last for literally decades. But look at the market now. We are entering this strange era of fast luxury. Why is a basic cotton t-shirt retailing for hundreds of dollars? And why is a vegan leather bag, which, let's be honest, is just a fancy marketing-approved name for plastic, costing you thousands of dollars lately? If you look back at the 90s, brands like Chanel actually used 24-karat gold in their hardware plating. You were buying precious metals. Today, that exact same bag, which no longer features real gold hardware, will cost you upwards of $10,000. That is a 500% price surge over 15 years, while the actual ingredients of the bag have gotten cheaper. Between $53 Dior production costs and Miu Miu jackets falling apart on camera, the dream of luxury is starting to look like a nightmare for our wallets. Number 4, the disappearing middle, drugstore makeup. This next category is one that I feel is no longer worth it because the price has climbed so high that it's almost identical to buying a high-end department store item, and that is drugstore makeup. I was at my local drugstore recently, shout out to Shoppers or any local pharmacy, looking for a new mascara, and I saw a L'Oreal Telescopic for $27. $99. I was absolutely floored. I remember when the expensive drugstore mascara was $9. The drugstore was specifically designed to be budget-friendly and accessible, but that middle ground is vanishing. When a foundation, a mascara, and a lip gloss at the drugstore now total nearly $80, why wouldn't you just go to Sephora and get the premium experience? The value proposition of the drugstore is being eaten alive by inflation, and unless you're catching a 50% off sale, the budget label is just a suggestion at this point. Number 5, the fast food value collapse. This next one used to be the definition of affordable, but now it is absolutely not worth the money, and that is fast food. Fast food used to solve a very specific set of problems. You needed a meal that was fast, convenient, and most importantly, cheap. Nowadays, a standard combo meal at McDonald's is going to cost you anywhere from $18 to $20. A simple coffee and a breakfast sandwich will set you back nearly $10. The original trade-off was that you accepted lower quality food because the price was so low. It was a fair deal. But now, the safety net is gone. The food isn't even high quality, it's just expensive. It's bad for your health, it doesn't even taste particularly good compared to a home-cooked meal, and it's expensive on top of everything else. It has completely lost its reason to exist. Even the corporations know they've pushed us too far, which is why they're currently scrambling to launch value meals to win back the customers they priced out. Number 6, the streaming and subscription trap. The next one, and I know I'm not alone in feeling this way, is the world of streaming services. When Netflix first launched, it was a revolution. For about $8 a month, you had everything. Streaming was supposed to be the cable killer. But today, streaming is starting to look, feel, and cost exactly like the old cable packages we tried to escape. If you want to watch a specific show now, you have to play a game of subscription musical chairs. You need Disney Plus, then Hulu, then maybe Paramount Plus. You can't share your passwords anymore, there are ads in the basic tiers, and the prices rise every 6 months. When you add up the monthly costs for all these platforms, you can easily exceed $100 a month. The convenience is gone, replaced by a fragmented mess that feels like a monthly tax on our entertainment. Number 7, viral junk trends, the FOMO economy. Let's talk about viral junk trends. You know exactly what I'm referring to. Labubus, Jellicats, or those Stanley cups. Now listen, I actually bought my Stanley 5 years ago, long before the craze, and it's well loved and full of chips because I actually use it. But the fandom and the FOMO surrounding these items have turned them into overpriced collectibles. These items are rarely worth the money because they inevitably end up in the thrift store donation bin 2 months later once the algorithm moves on to the next item. Some of these collectibles, like Labubus, are selling for over $100. If you genuinely love them, that's fine, no judgment. But I have a strong feeling we're going to see these filling up thrift stores very soon. When you buy into a trend at its peak, you're usually paying the highest price for something with the shortest social shelf life. If you're just buying it because everyone else is, you're just burning cash to stay relevant for 3 weeks. Number 8, the health tax and protein snacks. This next expensive category is a double whammy of being overpriced and arguably unnecessary, protein-marketed snacks. I'm talking about protein bars, protein chips, and even protein-infused coffee. It feels like a brand can just slap the word protein in a bold, athletic font on a label and suddenly justify charging an extra $4 to $6. This is what I call the health tax. Companies are weaponizing our desire to be fit by selling us ordinary sweets in a different wrapper. Don't get me wrong, protein is great, and you should be getting your fiber too, just eat actual real food. It's not only more affordable, but it's more satiating, more nutritious, and way less processed. I've personally stopped buying these glorified chocolate bars. They aren't a balanced meal, they're a $5 candy bar with a chalky texture. I'd much rather put that money toward high-quality groceries that actually keep me full for longer than 20 minutes. Number 9, the decline of mid-tier retail. We all collectively understand that fast fashion is generally low quality, but at least it used to be cheap. Now, it feels like the big retailers like Zara and H&M are getting more expensive while the quality is getting worse by the day. I get comments every single day from people saying their Zara pieces from 10 years ago are vastly superior to what's in the store today. Everything is degrading. Items that used to be 100% natural fibers are now being blended with cheap synthetics to save a few cents on production. Fabrics are thinner, the stitching is sloppier, and the price tags are hitting $150 for a blazer that feels like it's made of paper. The trade-off for the price just isn't there anymore. Prices are going up, quality is going down. It's that simple and that frustrating. Number 10, the fast furniture cycle. Finally, number 10, and this is one that affects our homes directly, is fast furniture. Much like fast fashion, the furniture industry has moved toward a disposable model. You're paying hundreds, sometimes thousands of dollars for engineered wood, which is often just sawdust and glue with a pretty sticker on top. It used to be that you bought a dresser and it lasted 30 years. Now you buy a dresser, and if you even think about moving it to a different apartment, the legs wobble and the drawers jam. We are being sold the aesthetic of a high-quality home without any of the structural integrity. It's not an investment if it ends up in a landfill in 3 years. The conclusion: it feels like everything is getting more expensive while the quality fails to keep pace. It's a strange, ironic time to be a consumer. There are still ways to live frugally and shop with intention, but these are just the things that I've decided are no longer worth my money. I'd love to hear from you in the comments. What have you stopped buying because it feels too expensive or too cheap for the price? Is there a brand you used to love that has finally lost your trust? If you want to see some small luxuries that I actually do think are worth the money, you can watch this video next. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week. Bye.